Hello, everyone. Welcome back to our fourth and final segment. We just have two small topics to cover. The first one is stride piano, and specifically Harlem stride. And this was a piano style that dates back to, the previous decade, where ragtime was very, very popular and had a major influence on the introductory jazz scene as it applies to big band music and early swing. And what was particular about stride piano and the ragtime style is the leapiness or the stride, the distance between the notes in the left hand. So if you ever tried to play piano, hopefully that you know that the second you move your hand and lift it, it's a major point of coordination with yourself to have an accurate jump. And stride piano uses this very virtuosic jump in the left hand quite a bit. And what happens as a result of using this performance technique is a rather full piano sound that is very orchestral sounding, meaning that it's big, it's grand, it's glorious. And rather than utilizing a very small and compact element of the keyboard, it's kind of paying a little bit of a homage, a tip of the hat to Romantic era repertoire that has a much more grand and larger than life kind of sound. Rather than me just explain it in the abstract, I have a very short 1-minute video that talks a little bit about stride while showing you a player that's actually participating in the stride style. So let me go ahead and pull it up.
The musical heroes of Harlem were the masters of a dazzling virtuoso piano style, stride. It was orchestral piano, one of its stars remembered. Full, round, big widespread chords moving against the right hand. Its practitioners called themselves ticklers. But the nicknames they awarded one another, the bear, the beetle, the beast, the brute, were warlike, befitting the perennial piano wars called cutting contests they waged among themselves.
So hopefully you saw that kind of extreme jumpiness that happens in the left hand there, and that's very difficult to do, but it gives the piano a very larger than life sound. And the big name that was associated with this style was Fats Waller, Thomas Fats Waller. So I wish I had left a little bit more time for this last bit, but I want to play a minute of him in performance, also using this stride style, although there's no overhead shot for you to actually see the left hand action.
Look at these fine, delicious dinners out here this afternoon. The gas, ain't there? Why, you lovely thing, where have you been all my life? Say, do you think I can take the keys for one of you girls there? Huh? What you say? Well, all right then, baby. I'm with you 100%. Come here, I'm gonna tell you something. Every honeybee feels jealousy when they see you out with me. Don't blame them, goodness knows. Honeysuckle rose. When you pass by flowers through the eye, and I know the reason why. You're much sweeter, goodness knows. Honeysuckle rose. I don't buy sugar. You just have to touch my cup. You're my sugar. So sweet when you stir it up when I'm taking those sips from your lips. Does the honey drip? Mercy. Confection? Goodness knows. You my honeysuckle rose, yeah.
So just a little bit of that tune, obviously, hopefully, obviously it's overdubbed still, but you know, cluing into that style of piano playing was also using stride. Where I left off, we had a moment of improvisation, again, something that's going to come up over and over in all the different genres of jazz. But that style of piano playing makes a prominent appearance in the jazz genre in the 1920s, and it becomes a tried and true aspect of the early big band style. Before we leave this lecture topic, I want to talk about one last thing. It's the only white artist that we will cover for today's lecture, and that is George Gershwin. He's most well known for the work that I'll talk about, Rhapsody in Blue, which premiered in 1924 in Aeolian Hall. And what makes it a performance worth noting, and we're not going to listen to the original, we're going to listen to just the very opening of Leonard Bernstein's performance with the New York Philharmonic as a soloist, which is awesome, is it's a combination of jazz and classical music. And it's important to note, mostly because it's the first real appearance of jazz in a serious music context in a serious music hall. And, you know, based on my previous lecture, it took quite a while to get jazz recognized as a genre of serious music at some of the most well-known venues in New York, Carnegie Hall being one of them. Again, it took until the 1940s, a good strong 2 decades after you know, New York was in full swing, no pun intended. But you know, Carnegie Hall being late to the game, but a huge player in terms of representing music on the kind of more serious spectrum. I really snubbed that genre for a long time, which is too bad. But George Gershwin brought to light a number of jazz subjects within his compositions. Rhapsody in Blue aside, also Porgy and Bess was recently done on the Met stage pre-pandemic. But again, I'm just going to focus on Rhapsody in Blue and only a very small bit of it to close out our lecture for today. So let me go ahead and pull up a recording. Awesome. I hope that minute and 40 seconds is enough of a sample to pique your interest in this piece. It's really a show-stopping and dynamic work for orchestra that is jazz influence based on how the orchestration and instrumentation of the orchestra is being used. What do I mean by that? We have, instead of there being a huge press of importance placed on violins, violas, cellos, double basses, the instruments of the string family, were instead favoring the voices that are more commonly represented in the jazz big band, horns. We have a major representation from the brass voices and the clarinet, an instrument that is commonly used in the Dixieland style, sets off the whole piece. A little different from jazz music, though, is that all of the improvisation, or things that sound improvisatory, meaning they have this kind of fluidity to them and they kind of feel a little bit more off the cuff, and there's certainly 4 solo instruments, are all written out. So they're not unique performance to performance. When you go and see Gershwin's Rhapsody in Blue, you're going to hear those same notes and same rhythms for the most part being played by the trumpet player. There might be a little bit of flexibility in the rhythm, but all of those notes are going to be represented. And that clarinet glissando, although stylized a little different performer by performer, is also going to, again, be really thoroughly written out. That doesn't leave the traditional wiggle room that we hear in jazz. That's a sort of confluence of those 2 different styles. In any case, I hope you learned a little bit of something about what the music scene was like in New York in the 1920s. Again, just a small slice of it that we've covered, but given the context of talking about venues that existed pre-1920s and venues that existed post-1920s, hopefully is starting to round out your understanding of New York history and how music has played an essential role in it. So excited to see you for our next topic. In the meantime, be well.